Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗣𝗚𝘅 channel. I'm your host, Sree Iyer. After a brief hiatus, General Rajiv is joining me again, and we're going to be talking about a very important topic. What we are seeing today, whether it is Canada or UK or the United States, is not something that happened like overnight. This has been building up for a long time. And how long and why and where things will go from here, General Rajiv has his idea, his analysis ready to go. And now let's welcome General Rajiv. But before that, please like this video. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. General Rajiv, namaskar and welcome to 𝗣𝗚𝘅's channel.
Namaskaram, Jai Bharati, and it's always a pleasure. It's been a while, so it's always a pleasure to get back to you on I would say, discuss where the world is headed.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Where the
sir.
world
Viewers, you should be watching I think every Saturday he has a show with Adi Achint on Dev Talks. You should not miss those. I don't miss up. I listen to till the last minute. I don't miss anything because there's so much education that's going on, trying to fill the gaps in my own understanding of the world. So you've done a tremendous job, or you're continuing to do a tremendous job in educating people. For those who are hungry for knowledge, yours is a source that we can draw upon. So today I leave the floor to you. You can go back in time wherever you think this thing started and then bring us forward all the way up to now. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. Yes, it has been building up, but there were two landmark events which have actually, I would say, created a great flux in the global order. It was a double whammy, one after the other. The first was the Wuhan COVID virus, that pandemic which hit worldwide and which hit the global economy, and WHO, the UN, and the global north was found wanting. They were not ready to share their vaccines with the rest. And it was India there who came up with its Maitri, the vaccine diplomacy, and provided the vaccines to the global south, especially the global south, who have not forgotten that. Because the fact is that the global north had stocked more than 3 times worth the vaccines required as per the population. Next came the Ukraine war. And this Ukraine war has hit and is still hitting the global food and energy security. Again, the global north and the UN has been found wanting. The global north was wanting everybody to take sides, which India refused and followed what we term as strategic autonomy. And you're proving right that you did the right thing. And you shared whatever you could with the global south. People will point out that we have stopped giving rice. There is a reason. When we were providing rice, the global north was hoarding that rice, including China, letting the prices go up and then selling it to the global south, selling it, which is where India has decided not to give it openly in the market for trading. And government to government will do the deal directly with the global south. Most of the global south has accepted that. China, which needs rice, has not. We'll discuss it later. Why? Now, this impact which came, these two, were leading to what happened after the World War I, a Kindleberger movement. Kindleberger is an American economist. He was part of the Marshall Plan. And the basic issue, he said, is the deep recession which took place, the global recession after the World War I, was because the country which could provide the global commons did not step in and stayed away. It is the US. The rest of the economy of the global north even then they were the global north, they had their empires, had taken a very big hit. US had a lot of capacity, overcapacity than their populations. They had no markets. So both took a hit and you went into recession. Bharat stepping in at this stage in both cases has prevented essentially that Kindleberger trap for the global south. Global north still faces its recessions and its troubles with its economy. They are still grappling with it. Then the other aspect is they have found that there is India available who's part of the global south and who has become a very important player in the globe. The reason being, I wonder how many have heard of Martin Stopforth. He's an economist and he wrote a book. The third edition came out in 2009. It is called Maritime Economics. And historically, he has charted the shift in the center of gravity of global trade, indicating where the global trade is going. He called it the West Line. I don't confuse it with the West Line Shipping Corporation and others that are there. This is the West Line. It's a fictional line. And he has plotted it moving from the Indian Ocean, going towards the Atlantic, staying in the Atlantic, coming in the Asia Pacific. And now it started coming into the Indo-Pacific and it is now centered in the Indian Ocean. Primarily because of the, you could say, the deteriorating relations of China with actually its market, which was the global north. So they are looking at India because the range, scale, depth, whether you look at it from demography, whether you look at it economically, whether you look at it geographically, cannot be matched by anyone else in the region, and which is what gives it the diplomatic and the military heft to stand strong and use hard power where necessary, like what you're doing with Canada today. With this and the globalization and digitization coming up, you suddenly found that the global south is pushing back against the exploitation by the global north or the debt trap diplomacy of the Chinese. One case in point example are the couple of coups that have taken place in the Francophone West Asia, where they want to get out of the clutches of the manner in which France has been controlling them economically. And the global north doesn't know what to do. This, to my mind, now the second historical incident I would link it to is the French Revolution. French Revolution had three slogans: liberty, equality, fraternity. It was because the masses were exploited by the elite, and so much exploited that the gap had become enormous and it just broke. The last straw on the camel's back, as they say, and you had a revolution. Liberty means liberty from exploitation. Equality means everybody is equal. The rule of law is equal for everybody, whether you're an elite or you're not. And fraternity means it is for the benefit of the larger people and not individual, as a community. Now, when you apply it at the larger level, liberty is stopping the new economic colonization. You want to gain liberty from that. Equality, the statement that our foreign minister had mentioned in the UN General Assembly. You have a rule of law, but rule of law is not meant for coercion and for application for other countries. It's for everybody. The moment you make rules of engagement, whatever rules you lay down, that these are the rules, international rules and regulations that will apply, should apply for everybody equally. Nobody is above that rule. And fraternity, that the UN in its own charter is supposed to be looking after the larger good. And if you don't look after the larger good, then where is the fraternity? You can't have just the global north prospering and the global south, which is exploited for its minerals, its labor, its everything. Why is that not growing economically? So the global north, and when I talk of global north, I include China in that. Now suddenly they are calling themselves as developing nations. Sorry, you have been fighting for G2 till, I'll come to that, till our voice of global south succeeded. They were talking always of G2, a new great power relations between US and China, and now suddenly they are talking about being part of the global south. So at the present moment, the global north is at its weakest, and it is weakest at a crucial portion because there is a tectonic shift in the global order which is occurring. And the Anglo-Saxon, who have been leading this global order for centuries, in the 19th century you had colonies. Through the 20th century until now you had the new economic colonization. Now that is on the verge of collapse. And with it, for the last more than 3 decades, close to 4 decades, these extreme leftists, whom rest call woke and liberalists, were having a field day in the global south to do what they wanted. They are also now at their weakest. And it is in this aspect that you got to look at certain things. 2-3 things. A, rise of Bharat. What you have to realize, it is self-driven. It is not aided by anybody, like the West was aided through Marshall Plan after World War II. China was aided by the US and the West to develop where it reached. You have developed yourself despite extensive external and internal derisiveness and pressures. There had been so much derision into what you were doing. Who can forget when you did your Chandrayaan 1? You had that cartoon where you were standing with a goat outside the door and wanting entry. Such
True.
kind of derisiveness is still coming in. You find China now trying to question that you have not reached the South Pole and other things, and that their vehicle is bigger than our vehicle. No, such cheap derision will come out. Because why does it come out? Because you are achieving something. You are rising despite what is going on. Now, with its rise, you're not rising alone. You're reaching out to the other developing, underdeveloped, and less developed countries of like minds in times of crisis and helping them and say, look, I'm not that rich, I don't have that deep pockets, but whatever little I have, come here, take, let's develop together. You know, the African nations talk about foreigners who come, like one of the, I think it was Zambia or Kenya, who was giving the example that a Chinese company or an American company comes for some work. Let's say the total number of people working for the company are 100. Says at best 5 to 7 will be locals, rest are theirs. Now, when he compares it with India now, India says, he says when an Indian company comes, they first train our people, and out of the 100, maybe 7 at best, 10 will be theirs, rest are all ours. And those 7 to 10 also after 10 odd years leave after having trained our people. Now that is the difference that they are feeling, that when an Indian comes, it is actually a win-win for both of them, because a whole lot of their people not only get jobs, they get trained also. The skill development comes. So that is how you are extending the hand for the economic growth of the country, and you don't exploit or push them into a debt trap. And this is what has gained you the acceptance and trust of the global south. And that is clearly seen with the grand success in February of the voice of the global south. And then in G20, all through, I'm not talking just when the event took place, the build up towards the event, the G20 where their voice was heard. In drafting the declaration, over 200 to 300 meetings. The G20's voice was also, they were also there, part of the discussion. And whatever their requirements were there has been put into that draft in the declaration. And of course, the continent with the largest number of states and the maximum population, which was left out, got a permanent seat. So this actually showed to the global south, the others who may have been hedging, that here is a country which just doesn't talk Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is walking the talk and says, hey, here, I'm part of you. I have got something to give to you to develop. I will also share with you. Let us all develop together, unlike the others. And that is when you find suddenly, after this starts, February onwards, you find a very vocal pushback by these extreme leftists. First, it starts against Adani, Hindenburg report, then reports about RSS, of BJP, of being extreme rightists, threat to religion, religious freedom not being there, press freedom, but they found no takers. For the world at large, what the US and the West, who were supporting these extreme leftists, forgot that for your markets to thrive, for your companies to thrive, the global south has the resources and the market. You may have the company with a lot of capacity, but who will buy it? It is the global south. And if the global south is standing together, that term, united you stand, divided you fall. Today they are united. And so this whole churning is taking place in this global order, where just a few cannot dominate the rest. So slowly you find, at least in some of the countries of the global north, that's where the rift is taking place in the global north, they are ready to work with India, which is talking of reforming existing institutions. Versus a rising Bharat, which is reformist, versus a declining China. Whatever parameters you take today, China is declining. A declining China, which is revanchist. It wants to remove these institutions and bring in their own institutions. So a set of people who have been used for a couple of centuries of a particular way of functioning, a modification to that way would be more acceptable than killing that way and trying to go down a new path. And that is where the dichotomy is taking place of the slight rift. And there is rift within those countries also in their power structure, which is very evident in the US, where the State Department itself is split. You have the old school Biden, you have the NSA, Jake Sullivan, Biden's colleague, Victoria Nuland. They are the woke, the extreme leftists. But we look at DOD, you look at a Trade Department, you look at the other entities in the State Department, they feel that if you want to, their main threat is China. And without India, they cannot counter China. And China has to be countered, since they feel the Pacific is their backwaters. China has to be countered in the Indo-Pacific for them, which is Indian Ocean and Western Pacific. Cannot be done without India. So this is a tussle which is going on within them. So now you find that this is an aspect which the leftists are failing to grasp, because for, like I said, for 3 to 4 decades, they have been having a free run in dominating the way the global south was functioning, overthrowing governments out there at will, pushing their narrative and doing things and forcing their governments to do things to their will. And they were making a lot of money from that also. Now that is likely to fall apart. So like the saying in Hindi, marta kya na karta. They have to do this to show their relevance, so to say. Now, to this is linked that specious charge, Justin Trudeau. I call him 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙀 Trudeau. Okay. And what a specious charge for eliminating an Anglo-Saxon Khalsa terrorist. I don't give the term Khalistani terrorist. There is no place called Khalistan. So here I distinguish between a Khalsa and a Sikh. And he is a Khalsa terrorist. When you say that he is your citizen, then thank you, he's an Anglo-Saxon terrorist. Period. He's an Anglo-Saxon terrorist or a Canadian Khalsa terrorist who has been eliminated. Please tell me, you call him a plumber, then I will call Osama bin Laden an engineer, a civil engineer.
Construction engineer.
He's part of a construction engineering company group. His dad had one of the biggest company groups in Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and all these places. How is it different? I may not have done it. Intelligence is not evidence. So there is no evidence. He can't give the evidence because then he will be breaking the Geneva Convention, if he has any. So he is also, we should not forget, he is also actually the cat's paw of George Soros, who is the leader of these left-wing extremist groups, who use all these terror groups within their countries to put pressure on various people. But the unfortunate part for JT is that all their skeletons are tumbling out of the cupboard, and especially Nazi and the fascists. People may not know the Trudeau family, his dad was a fascist till Italy was conquered. And even today, their church in Montreal has a painting and has a portrait of Mussolini. Nobody in this supposedly a democratic world has questioned that. His father was the one who brought in the 14th Galicia Brigade division. And of course, rest, as they say, is history. That butcher of the general of the SS Brigade division was feted in their parliament. So all their skeletons have started coming out. Why? Well, it could be our media also, but within the Anglo-Saxon itself, the rift is out in the open. Nobody supported him here when they came for G20. He's supposed to have taken all of them on board, and you could see the way Biden, from the body language, you can make out the way he was haranguing Justin Trudeau. Like a child with his finger like this. When you see the video, he's being told to shut up. But he goes to the parliament, and what a claim. Everybody else is laughing at him. His own people are laughing at him. So this is where you find today why they are targeting you. They felt the only pillar of your growth was Adani, little realizing that there are so many other pillars. Adani may have fallen out from top 10. So what? It's not the top 10 who make your country. It's all your MSMEs, your startups, the startup unicorns. All these contribute to your country. And where people forget, which I'm sure the economists are looking at it very closely, your startup unicorns become unicorns without targeting the foreign markets. They have become unicorns from internal consumption. Something which Chinese have been pushing since 2002, Hu Jintao's time, internal consumption, and they have not achieved. So now imagine if you start opening up, like your exports are increasing. As you take an increasing share in the exports, what kind of growth you will have? So it is this which gives the strength, and it was this and the support of the Global South, which gave the strength to our EAM for that stinging rebuke in UNGA to the UN. people forget he had given an open threat: change or else. Why? The other thing he had said, the rules are for all, and rules are not meant for the powerful to subdue the weak. Because if UN doesn't change, India has taken control of the G20 now. That cannot change. Because not only have you given AU a permanent seat, Brazil has promised that next year they are going to bring in a rep of Latin America. When he says Latin America, I'm sure Caribbean will also come with it, because Guyana is part of Caribbean. Though it's there in South America, Guyana is part of the Caribbean. So that is, you are adding on 21 minus 3, because 3 are already there, 18 plus 12, 30 more countries. And why are they joining? They are joining because of the trust and acceptance of Bharat that you will do the needful for their development and growth. And when you look at the G20, it's a misnomer. It is actually, if you look at when you started the G20 in Delhi, it was G43 actually. Because 19 plus EU. EU may be one entity to say it is G20, but EU represents 27 countries. Out of 27, 23, 3 were already there. Brexit had happened, so I'm not counting UK. 3 were already there. So 24 plus 19, you have 43. So you may call it G21, but it represents 43 countries. The moment you bring in the African Union consists of 55 countries. Take away one, South Africa, which is part of the 19. Add 54. So you are already reaching 97. So G22 next year will be 97 countries. And when you're going to Brazil, and in Brazil, Latin America and the Caribbeans come in, you have 127 countries. So even if 7 of them who are part of the global north leave, out of 193 UN countries, you have 120 countries sitting with you in G20. And you don't need to worry about money, because I'm sure the West Asian countries, apart from only Saudi Arabia is there, you would bring in the other West Asian countries and they'll come with the money. West in any case has no money today. Where is the money with the West? So there is already talk, even if others are not coming in, they're already talking of ASEAN. And the moment you tap ASEAN, Indonesia is already there. You are at 136 countries. So that is the backdrop, I would say, that you were able to tell the UN change. And I think the saner voices within some of the global north countries are saying that there is merit in what India is saying. So that is why I feel Biden openly in Delhi accepted India, that India should be part of the UN Security Council. Who else he brings in, whether it's going to be Japan or South Africa or Brazil, remains to be seen. But he would like 1 or 2 countries to come into the UN Security Council. But India is not just looking at the UN Security Council. No, it wants to revamp the UN itself, the way it functions, so that a rules-based order is equitable to everybody. It applies equitably to everybody, whether you are a very powerful, rich country like the US, or you may be the poorest country like Laos. But the rules-based order has to be equitably applicable. And that is where I was saying liberty, equality, and fraternity, that he has to look after the weakest. This is the first time I've read so many of these G7, G8, the Global Economic Forum, World Economic Forum, which takes place. G20 events also have taken place. This is the first time where a voice has been given to the global south. And you're talking of things, of looking at things to how to help the global south. In November, there's going to be an online meeting to see how it is going to be actualized. And you actually form those group of previous and past presidents, previous and the next set of presidents who are going to be there of G20, which is part of the charter, and made a point along with the World Bank that we will actualize what is being said. Now, even if you achieve, I'm not saying you'll be able to achieve 100%, very difficult. Even if you achieve 50% over the next 3 years, what is the impact going to be? The same thing where last year in the UN General Assembly, the Caribbean and the African foreign ministers were saying that they look at India as a multinational entity, because you did the job during the COVID, what UN should have done. So these are the things, because it's a very strong call that India has taken to reform not just the UN, even the extant institutions. And problem for Canada, I think, is this family, Trudeau family, the father and now the son. Over 40 years, they have become the lackey of the extreme leftists, and they have become a home for all forms of terror, extremists, fascists, and even criminal gangs. And the only issue with them is that they say they don't target a white man. So they don't look at it as if it's a threat to themselves, because it's not targeting a white man, which is incorrect. Now, what we have to look at is, though now it is getting clear by the day that the Western media who tried to put pressure, the paid media, found no traction, so they've stopped. Nobody talks of Trudeau on the in the Western media suddenly, and that has happened suddenly when the skeletons started tumbling about, and the shock when they felicitated Nazi. But I'm amazed at Israel's reaction. Why have they not asked for him to be extradited?
Yeah.
I'm surprised at the Israelis, and especially Benjamin Netanyahu, who's such a hardliner. What has happened to Israel? And you find out that the complete 14th Galicia division is there, and one of these girls, what is her name, Emily something, who's propounding all fascism and everything in the West, who's the granddaughter of one of the butchers of one of the killing fields that they had created, like Auschwitz out there. They've not even asked for her extradition. Something wrong somewhere. What has changed in Israel? Have they got also caught up in wokeism, extreme leftism? What has happened? Is there people who he killed? But what we have to realize is, since these people have been enjoying a free run, literally, for nearly 4 decades, they're not going down without a fight. George Soros and his ilk will not go down without a fight. So you will expect more challenges to come, especially as there are 3 key elections in the world which will take place. One is a set of our assembly elections in India, and the 2024 are parliamentary election and the US presidential election. These are very important. Another one which we should keep an eye out is Taiwan. That is also going to take place in 2024. So these are the 3 sets: US presidential, India assembly and parliament, and Taiwan the presidential elections. This is where the challenge is there for the leftists to see, can they do something? When Canada talks of political interference, I roared with laughter that the only country which has so much of influence in them is the Chinese. And apart from that is the Americans, thanks to George Soros, who have so much of influence. What is he talking of Indian influence and other things? They have been trying to influence within our country using these Anglo-Saxon Khalsa terror groups. Now what has happened? All their properties in India have been sealed. Their buildings, a whole lot of them are being bulldozed down. All their accounts are being frozen. The investigations are on into all their relatives and other places. So where the funding is coming from, that is getting sealed. And it is evident that they have become worried, because the next protest that they had opposite the Indian embassy, only 5 or 6 chaps were standing there. Earlier hundreds would come, this time only 5 or 6 came. And there are videos now circulating within India where the younger lot who are also jumping around with them are now crying, no, 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 I was led away, I don't mean, I respect India, I do this. You see the tone changes moment they get a kick up their backside. But that kick has to continue, because moment you stop that kick, money comes in and they will start off. So challenges will be aplenty, and already a narrative is starting, like I said, about foreign interference and other things. Now you see they're building up a narrative, so that we have to keep a close watch that what are these new narratives that they will bring in, and whatever they bring in, we have to be very clear that the person to the north and person to the west will latch on to it and try to add to the challenge what these leftists are throwing. So it is a pivotal moment. It is not that it's going to change, is not going to happen overnight. So as they say, nicotine, that if you take that that nicotine chewing gum, so it not change in a day. You will not leave nicotine in a day, but one day it will happen. Same is the case with this churning which is going on in the global order. It will not happen overnight, but it will happen one day, and it is going towards a particular direction, which is not to the liking of these extreme leftists. They are feeling left out. But the Crown Council is very clear which side the bread is buttered, because they are interested basically that their money should grow and they should not lose money. So bulk of their hedge funds, who had huge headquarters in China, have closed shop in China. 3 of them have shifted to India. Need I say more? As they say, flag follows the money. So if the money is coming here, then the flag of joining hands together is going to take place here, which is not digestible to the leftists, because they are leftists. So that is where you can look at all these incidents, and Trudeau is just a minion. Trudeau is just a minion. He's been handled well. An open statement by the AM that India and US were dealing with each other. We are now working with each other. We have just started, and sky is the limit for our relationship to develop. And that would not be liked by the leftists.
And viewers, what General Rajiv just said is the Hudson Institute speech that Dr. Jaishankar gave. I think this happened after the UNGI, if I remember correctly.
After that, he went to CFR.
Yes.
After that, he went to CFR. People have to know that CFR is part of the Committee of 300 under the Crown Council of the Deep State, Global Deep State. And then from there, he went to Hudson's. Hudson's is the antithesis of CFR, if I may say so. Both are daggers drawn in their perspective. Yes, absolutely, yes. 180 different perspectives.
Thank you, sir. And viewers, we wanted to share with you the cartoon that General Rajiv mentioned, just to complement and finish out or add up everything else. So this was a cartoon that appeared in New York Times
after the
that,
Mars mission.
yeah, Mangalyaan, right? So this is what was the thing. Now, after that, India did something incredible. They launched 104 satellites in one go. And this is what was published in P Gurus.
Yes. And the next one after Chandrayaan was what was published again in our cartoon was that we are inside with the cow and the others are wanting to come in.
So thank you so much,
These are
General.
what we published, but this is the mentality of the West, which is now suddenly changing. That is the, like I mentioned, the range, the depth, the scale, demographically. When I talk demographically, it's not the number of people, it's the skilled people that you get, talented and skilled people, which is evident from the number of unicorns you've developed. And geographically, the range, scale, and depth, economically, what you're going to get. It's just not available with anybody else today. If Indian Ocean is going to be the focal point of maritime economics, you can't do without it, period. So this is our moment, and we are wanting to grab this moment. It doesn't mean people will suddenly start talking of India becoming a superpower. Please, it takes at least 100 more years before you will become a superpower. So, take a chill pill.
But a beginning has been made.
Yes, you have become something, and you'll become something more, and something more, and then you get to dominate and say this is how the rules will be.
General Rajiv, I have a couple of questions, and then we'll take our viewers' questions, sir, with your permission. So the first question I have is, if you remember, a few months ago, Blinken came visiting to China, and he said, look, you are not exporting anything to Russia anymore. And US made a big claim that China has stopped its exports to Russia. Yet, the recent data shows that the trade between those two countries is at an all-time high. And so these are two G20 members, yet they are pulling in a different direction. And clearly, Ukraine is a mess. As always, US knows how to get in. I will leave the get out part open for our viewers. But so why is China ignoring US and doing this? And what is the outcome of this, in your opinion?
So there is a book I will tell our readers to read. It's written by our diplomat. It was written in late 80s, I think 85, 86. It is called Conflict Negotiation. Rangarajan, L.R. Rangarajan, beautiful book. In that, he speaks about covariance of rewards. When you have interdependencies, deep interdependencies, there is what is called a covariance of rewards emerges, because you are so interdependent that the policy in one affects the other. How much it affects, that is what is called the covariance, negative and positive. So the interdependence of US, the West, and the Chinese is so deep. Despite all this talk of friend shoring, near shoring, they know they have taken out some of their companies into Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. They're looking at Indonesia. But the bulk has to come to India, which is where they had been hesitating till now. And I think it will change now. It will change now. When you go and try to tell him something, he will say, okay, but China, doesn't, he'll say one thing and do another. He knows that the dependencies is so much that US can't do a thing. While it was nice of Trump to have said, make in America, where are your skilled laborers and your managers to run your factories? I don't think your institutions even teach that, because you outsourced everything to China. almost everything to China and other countries. No, unless you have your skilled labor for doing this, how are you going to make in America? Have you made a start of teaching all those people? Because you need ITIs, technical training. How do you teach about machines? You may not even know what are the machines that are being used. So how do you set up a plant? If I say tomorrow I'm going to make let's say just pins, what is the factory machine that is needed to run those pins? So it is that reason which the Chinese know that it can't be done. Chinese economy is on a downslide because despite all these dependencies, the West doesn't have the money to buy and they have overcapacities. So what best? The military industrial complex. Russia wants spares, we'll give them. So the spares are going. At least you earn the money. So
very true, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the dependency of Russia and China is transactional. Let us not get carried away that they are bum chums and good friends. No. Russia has not forgotten the new map which they have put where the island in the 𝗒𝘄𝑖 River has been reclaimed by China as part of China despite having signed 2 agreements in 94 and 2004. That it is with Russia. So, and I don't know why Blinken went. There was no need for him to go. Though it was the Chinese who called him, look at the kind of press that Global Times was talking about. That the Americans were begging, the word they used was begging for a slot. No, so I don't think it was the right time for Blinken to go there. But he would have been ordered by his master to go there because I'm sure he must have gone to talk about George Soros' money, which is stuck there. He has a lot of money invested there.
It's just not Soros's money, right? Like you mentioned, the hedge funds together have 550 trillion.
Whoever is invested, they will get after George Soros. No, he was the one who asked them and he didn't take it out in time. And today it's very difficult to take out money from China. They're not giving the money back if you have invested there.
Very true. And we get the early warning indicators in the United States, especially in Bay Area, some select areas in the United States. Boston area, New York area, Bay Area, LA area, and perhaps the Seattle area. Because all these places have good universities. So when Chinese money starts coming in, the real estate starts going up. We know, oh my God, Chinese money, it comes in suitcases. It used to come in suitcases. And viewers, I've told you this before, Trump put a stop to this. Then the money started coming through Canada by form of checks. Then he had to put a stop on a second level. It was a know your customer's customer, KYCC. and now even the Justin Trudeau is not allowing the Chinese to buy property in Canada. It has come to that now. So there is a lot of money floating around from China that wants to find a safe haven, safer.
The whole issue must be that the pressure must be coming that why are you taking this money? You don't let the money come till we are allowed to get the money out.
Yes.
Foreigners who have invested, they are not in their stock markets are not being permitted to take the money out.
Very true. Very true. So that's going to be an interesting puzzle. We'll come back to General Rajiv on that as a separate issue, like the economics of all this stuff. We will come back to that. Sir, here is how the...
Kumar, you heard me right. $550 trillion.
Yes.
Hedge funds, they control that kind of money. Okay. Shashi Tharoor said they looted at today's this thing $45 trillion. Do you think pounds? Do you think 45 trillion pounds went into the money which the government in UK controls? No, bulk of it went to the royal family and the other aristocrats.
Yes, the R's, Rothschilds and the Rockefellers.
And just imagine, it's a scream that we talk of UK as a democracy. What kind of democracy is it when the upper house is unelected and has more people, 800 to 650, who are elected, and they can overturn anything. And you have 26, and they talk of themselves being secular. There are 26 priests who are nominated into the house, who sit on the, not with the rest of them, they sit separate and they are allowed to vote. And you still call them democracy? Hello, good morning. Let's smell. We should smell the coffee. They are not democracy at all. If you had it in India, you would have been zero in democracy. And they call themselves democracy.
Nobody likes it when the other person does Purva Paksha, which is what we are doing today. So we are looking at processes in UK, in USA, in Canada, and so on. So look, let's take a look at how you are running your system. US is also a very flawed system, sir. This electoral college is a joke.
Absolute joke. You win a popular vote, but damn it, you lost because the electoral college votes were more. How can the electoral colleges be more? What kind of democracy is this? If you say it is of the people, by the people, for the people, where did the electoral college come in?
Very true. That's why I don't get invited on CNN or MSNBC or even Fox. They can't take it. So the next question
you
is:
have a Supreme Court where judge goes for life? Hello?
Yes. No.
Hello? He gets nominated. He becomes a Supreme Court judge. He is a judge for life till he dies.
Yes.
Is that a democracy?
Unless they say I'm too old to continue, they are there for life. Yes, very true. In fact, many of us were concerned when Roberts became the Chief Justice because he was only 49 or 50. See, this was again a Republican judge who made it to CJI because the Republicans were planting it for the future. Again, viewers, don't think one side is better than the other.
Both are the same. Each places their people out there because knowing even if I lose power, he is there to look after my interests.
Yes. See,
and
the latest victory of the Republican-controlled House happened because the Democrats supported them.
Correct.
Kevin McCarthy won this last battle about funding to continue funding the government for 30 days or 45 days, whatever.
No, but that was bad news for Ukraine. No money for Ukraine.
Exactly. That's the other big problem. Now, this tells us that the arms lobby, everybody who was benefiting from Ukraine are done taking out their thing, and now they're saying, okay, we are now going to throw you to the wolves, unfortunately. So the next question I have.
There was a beautiful meme. I'll just add before you give that question, which came out, which is doing the circle. They showed three people before. One is, of course, Libyan, that a lot of money and weapons were given to him. And then the Americans eliminated him. I would add Noriega also to that.
Yes.
A lot of money and weapons was given to him and he was eliminated. And the last in that was our man, Saddam, who was given a lot of weapons and money and was eliminated. And ultimately, they put the picture of Zelensky, that he has been given a lot of weapons and money to be continued. And it's happening. Now there's no money.
Very true. Sir, the next question is, while these two, the military complex and the technology, they have all got their bonanza out of this war, crude continues to go higher and higher. So the energy companies are continuing to make a lot of money. Now, Russia has a deal with, or had a deal with India where they were giving $32 off or something like that. Something good number. And now I think India has weaned itself away from Russia. And I think India has struck a similar pricing-wise agreement with, I think, Iraq, if I'm not wrong.
Iraq. Russia is also continuing, but Russia was hesitating to do their purchases from India in rupees. Sergei Lavrov had come here and he was talking about not having that. Even when the previous G20 had taken place in Indonesia. So you needed something to balance out. So you have Iraq to give you the oil, and you have, I think, Mozambique, you have done the deal for the gas. So,
well, I think Qatar also should be.
It's a messaging to Russia that we are friends, but if you try to act tough, we can also get tough.
Yeah, yes, sir. Also, the message has gone to Qatar also. A small, teeny-weeny nation could make India to apologize. And see, these are all things where, Modi government has a very elephantine memory. They will hit back.
So all the dependency on Qatar will go down.
Yes.
Russia will also go down for gas, and you're getting all your gas from Mozambique. East African countries are ready to do the deal with you.
Sir, last question from me, and I'm sorry, we are 55 minutes. Time just flew. Alex Soros has put the $26 billion of money that these guys had allocated for philanthropic, I put in double quotes, on hold. Does this signal a change in strategy, or is the US telling these guys, buddy, you've done your run, wait? What do you think?
Sir, I think it is the US has realized that what they were doing is now not acceptable in the evolving geopolitical and geostrategic global order that is coming out. It was okay earlier. Now it is not. So that is where they would have ordered him that put a stop to it. Next, I think they're just waiting for George Soros to conk out. Who comes? Yeah, he's old, 92 already.
Yes.
Any day. He has not only both his legs, half his body is also in the grave already. So at any time. I don't think his son is mature enough. They may have put a stop to look at who next. And there is a lot of talk of Mrs. Jobs.
I see.
Lauren Jobs, who's also part of all these philanthropic funding, and she's also part of the leftist brigade. Whether she would be taking over, the issue is who takes over. Will they permit her, or will they get somebody else? His son is how much? About 30, 40 years old only. There's no maturity at that level. He has not shown any maturity. Only of late he has come forward. Will the Blinken brigade and all trust him to take the right decisions? See, at that level, the kind of functioning George Soros had, it was more of a directive style of command coming to him and then he executed. Would they trust George Soros' son? That may have been the reason where they may have said, wait and watch, and then see and work with whoever is. Is Lauren Jobs competent enough? I don't know. In these financial issues and all these shenanigans that need to be done. George Soros, I feel, lost his utility when he was forced to come out in the open in March, April, when things didn't work out. Otherwise, whatever he did, when you look at all the color revolutions and various places, whatever he has done, he was a shady figure, quiet in the background. There were no direct finger that you could point on him that he's done.
Right.
This time around, he's come out in the open and he's openly saying that I'm doing it. Because I think people have left him and he's not finding his workers. So maybe all these may have added up.
True. And one of my viewers is gently nudging me, stop your questions. We have our questions also of General Rajiv. So I will take our viewers' questions now. General,
Sure.
if I could ask you, maybe spare 5 extra minutes of your time, sir. Usually stop at
anytime you want. As much time.
Thank you. Let's take some questions, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Patriot. Is USA playing a double game with Bharat?
No, the US itself is playing a double game with itself. Like I said, you have two parts now in the US. One wanting to go with Bharat so that they are relevant. They know they are. See, USA is a big power. Let's be very clear about it. There is no other power in the world today which has the range, depth, and the reach that the US has. So anyone else saying that somebody is replacing him, just forget it. When you talk of de-dollarization, forget it. because which is the currency in which you trust and keep your reserves world over? You still today talk of your reserves in dollars. Do you talk of reserves in any other currency? No. Whatever you may curse, whatever you may do, you still want your reserves in dollars. So all this chatter about de-dollarization, okay, theek hai, but let's be clear on that. It may be going down, maybe towards the end of this century. Maybe our grandchildren may see it, not you and me. I'm sorry. So the problem in today's USA is, like I mentioned, the split in the State Department, and you have Biden. Please remember, all these leftists who were there in White House have been kicked out by Biden. Quietly,
Yes.
one by one, he's taken them all out. They're no longer there.
Etc. Etc. Yeah.
𝗖𝗂𝘅 and her brigade have all gone. There's nobody there. Okay. So you have White House, Department of Defense, Department of Trade and Commerce, and one part of your State Department on one side, Blinken and his gang on the other side. So that's why you feel that it's a double game, because you get two voices out. It's not a double.
Next one, please. Mr. Lee wants to know, what about the civilizational clashes? It's easy to club Global North with a broad Western civilization. Global South has several civilizations and clashes. Can the latter unite?
You think the Global North didn't have their clash? Where were the First and Second World Wars, the 100 Years Wars, the 30 Years Wars, the Napoleonic Wars? Where were they fought? So let's smell coffee where it is. Where is Ukraine being fought? Right? Global South has clashes. You don't go to huge wars. You have clashes, orchestrated clashes. The orchestrated clashes are to be able to control the mineral resources and your wealth. You look at Latin America, you look at Africa, you look at Asia. It is meant for that.
Next question, please. Nitin Jain wants to know, there is news that China will take Pakistan to moon. How feasible is this mission and cooperation when Pakistan has real issues? Are they trying to downsize Bharat's achievement?
Let them take Pakistan to the moon, an astronaut from Pakistan to the moon. They are welcome. Money, paisa bolta. By the time they send this mission, do you and I know in what state Pakistan is going to be? In what shape and size it's going to be? They are yet to do their macroeconomic changes. They can't. They don't have the competent people left, because 86 May they changed their complete education policy into madrasa educations. So what do you do?
Next question, please. Jeannie wants to know, why not is Indian Army collaborating with IIT, NIT for its needs? Who says they are not?
I am a professor of practice with IIT and for executing projects for the military. And there are a lot of projects we do for the military. We keep having meetings, and there are a lot of requests who have come for which we are working. I myself am involved about 5-6 projects. We have scientists who are working with us. We keep going and talking and giving presentations. Who says we are not? And the way I am there are people available in other IITs also. And even the new IITs and the triple ITSM, that is the Institute of Information Technologies, they are also working. There are some projects where we involve them also. So it's going on. It started now. So that's why you feel that why are they not doing it? It started in a big way.
Mangat Ranga wants to know, Jai Hind sir, by how many decades is Bharat behind for giving the opportunity to be at the high table of UN? How important would that position be now?
Why are we fixated on high table in UN when you can control the votes of manage with yourself and take more than 130 countries with you? What can UN do? That is where our EAM said, no? Change or else. You could dictate. Because you know that Global South, as per UN, has about 150 odd countries. But 130 plus are with you. You are with them. You've given them the voice. And that is where Biden understood that, yes, he cannot avoid putting India there. But you know the veto. And who will veto? So that is the threat which has been given to the UN, and it was a direct threat to China. Try and veto this. And then see what we do with you in G20. You controlled the SCO, he has realized it. You controlled the BRICS, you didn't let him get away with it. And you have controlled the G20, and you know that G20 will be with you now. Now it is China has to decide. US has decided. So high table, as far as General Assembly is concerned, everybody is talking what you achieved in your G20.
Raja Raman wants to know, is it advisable for POK to be merged with us? Your view, sir.
It will take its own time. You have to build up the narrative and the people. It started already. In POK, I'm more keen, in one of my talks I had given the importance of 𝗤𝙬𝙤𝙬. That is more crucial for you than the balanced POK on the Kashmir side, Ladakh side. That is very critical for the Americans also. The moment you have that, then you are in China's backyard. So work towards that. There's no need for you to go to war for these places. It will happen on its own. That's why I said when you answered that question about Pakistan, just wait and see what shape and size it will be. The Americans are also very interested there. Don't you know their ambassador had just visited recently? These are indicators that it will happen, and in its own time it will happen. But you need to understand the challenge of having a Sharia run state on your border. When you get, if and when you get 𝗤𝙬𝙤𝙬 with you, you have Afghanistan on your border, which is a Sharia run state. So
sir, a little birdie.
That challenge you have to cater for. So that's why I keep repeating, do the net assessment, do the challenges, and shape your strategy accordingly.
Next question, please. Kunduru Kameswar Rao wants to know, do you think India can face China in the likely event of aggression from that side?
You see, China was given a strategy, military strategy called war zone campaign by Deng Xiaoping. And it was one front at a time, never open two fronts. This champion has opened multiple fronts. You have active opposite your northern theater command, you have Japan, and you have antagonized Russians also. By the way, despite all that battle in Ukraine, they have not thinned out the troops in Vladivostok. The Far East is still holding firm. You have created your problem now in East China Sea for Taiwan. You have created your problem in South China Sea with all the shenanigans that you're doing there. You have created your problem by activating the complete border with us. And you have a growing internal problem with fissures within your Communist Party and your people antagonized against you. With all this, what he is left with is only two group armies, 76 and 77, which exists in Western Theater Command. Full stop. क्या कर लेगा उसके साथ यार? Group army is one corps यार, two corps. What will he do?
Next question, please.
I have almost 5 corps opposite him, and I have a reserve of at least 3 to 4 corps available to counterattack him and take him on and take the battle across into China. How? And you can't fight wars with modern weapons with conscript soldiers. When 40% of your soldiers are conscripts, you can't fight.
Next one, please. Rasi wants to know, sir, contrary to some geopolitical observers thinking of a weakened Russia, it seems to me that this war has served instead to awaken and strengthen a somnolent Russia. Your thoughts?
Oh, it's become very powerful. Militarily also, because they have come out now. See, Ukraine had become a test bed also for new weapon systems. There are 2-3 new weapon systems which the Russians have employed, which the West still doesn't know what it was. It's an rockets with an EMP burst. There's no nuclear fallout or anything. It gives you a tremendous EMP burst, and one missile covers about 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers area, which wipes out all your electronics. And they fired multiple missiles. And having destroyed that, then they used all their air defense and everything. Then they used their drones to destroy their weapon systems and other things. And that is what Americans were very scared of when their Joint Chiefs of Staff made a statement to the Russians, and I was laughing. You are telling, no, this is unfair. Don't use such, you could say, disruptive weapons on my M1. Why? I want to, you come against me, I will destroy your M1 Abrams. I'll use whatever means. Yeah. Who are you to tell me not to do it? If you're worried about it, don't send it. You want to send, but you don't want the Russians to use that. And they have their supersonic missiles, which they have started using now. So it's becoming stronger. Rating of Putin is not gone below 80 at the moment. And can you believe it? Their billionaires whom had been sanctioned are the ones who are the fastest growing billionaires in the world.
For those of you who may not know what EMP is, sir, one second. EMP is electromagnetic pulse, and it can essentially disable electronics. If you remember, there was a cruise ship that was marooned on high seas, and it was believed that it was the Chinese who did that during Obama's period. I've actually done an episode on this. Do watch it.
Yeah, this actually EMP is a fallout. When you fire a nuclear weapon, you get a local EMP. So when you explode a nuclear weapon on a very high altitude, apart from the radiation taking time, it is the EMP pulse which destroys it. But the Russians have made one without using nuclear weapon. How they have done it, it's all homegrown. I've always maintained that in military technology, they are miles ahead of the West. So they go for rugged. See, people have to realize that you may like high tech, very high tech. People get carried away by Hollywood. Very high tech is okay to look at. The common man who's going to fight there, the soldier, is not that technically high IQ. Okay, so if you give him a technology which is beyond his IQ and not able to absorb it, he'll not be able to use that weapon. It's useless. You have to give him a weapon which he'll be capable, he'll be able to absorb that technology and use it effectively. Then he'll be able to use it effectively. So there are different grades at every level for technology absorption. So don't get carried away by all these Marvel movies and Hollywood movies that सब हो जाता है. ऐसा नहीं होता लाइफ में. वो भूप सिंह के समझ नहीं आएगा तो क्या करेगा?
This is the last question. Raman wants to know how to handle China in spite of its bold aggression on northern border and bleeding us economically. How to stop Chinese from pushing synthetic drugs across our border? Why Maldives is behaving funnily?
A bold aggression he did, you blocked him. Where is the boldness after that? You talk of boldness. When we occupied Kailash range, don't ask me the source. Direct orders from CMC to the brigade, Chinese brigade, combined arms brigade, which was there to attack the Indians and evict it. The brigade commander refused to obey the order. The Western theatre commanders have been refusing to obey his orders, and that is why in a period less than 1 year, from December 2020 to August 2021, you have seen 4 Western theatre companies, one after the other. Okay, they tried it at Yangtze, got thrashed very badly and went off. We had captured a whole lot of them, and they came with a white flag. What boldness are you talking about? They tried to ambush you in Galwan. It was not a bold aggression. And they got thrashed badly. And the information I had is they lost 143 people. There is a new graveyard which is behind Galwan, which they have made. 143 graves. It had come up in their Weibo chat, which they have removed it. They have only feted 4 of them. Now they accept 1/5. Boldness, yeah. Boldness ऐसे थोड़ी होता है बोलने से कि bold aggression. Just because Global Times said bold aggression. I have dealt with them, yeah. One tight slap and the chap goes running away, yeah. They dare not come fishing in my area. We were there even today. I've retired 6 years ago. I left command of that 11 years ago. They still don't come. Thrashed them brutally and threw them across. Dare you come fishing across into my area? They don't come. They came with the dozers, surrounded them with weapons, gave the orders to that lieutenant who came, step across this side, we won't find the bodies. Till date, they have never come. They have accepted what we told, that this is the LAC. They have accepted in our area. They don't dare patrol across beyond that. That is what the language. So what boldness are you talking about here? Our people are very bold. Please don't underestimate yourself. He's not a 10 foot tall. Yeah, he's a contract soldier, single child. All his ideas are that people should look after him. He's least interested in fighting there. He's come there because his parents didn't have the money to pay off that person who came to conscript him. So he's come there. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to die, because he has to look after not only his 2 parents, his 2 sets of grandparents also. And if he has got married, that is 6 people. And if he has got married, they are 12. The 2 of them have to look after 12 people. And if he fights and dies, then only his wife is left to look after 12 people. These are the social things that you got to think of, where the chap thinks of. This is what we hear when we talk to them. And that is why you find all this talk of link pie and all that. They're least bothered here. He doesn't want to work at all. We talk of that middle-age syndrome. No? What is that called? Burnout. They already have a burnout here. Graduates are already having burnouts. They don't want to work because they know they're not going to get money. How do we look after so many people? It's not so simple.
Well, thank you so much, General.
We have to be careful. Our border policing has to be strong. I don't think he's economically bleeding you, is he? I didn't know that.
Thank you so much, General. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No.
General Rajiv, most fascinating conversation, 80 minutes, and the time just flew. I hope viewers, you agree with me that General Rajiv is a fount of information. And you know why he is like that? He reads a lot. I keep telling everyone, unless you read, not watch a movie, don't confuse the two. Reading forces you to be in the author's shoes and visualize what he is seeing. There you gain a lot of knowledge, and you'll realize it only when you read. I mean, I can't explain it to you in words. So please, this habit is falling away.
Don't read only one set of perspectives. Read at least 2-3 perspectives. Then you will understand that the actual thing that goes on is somewhere in between.
So true, so true. That's one of the reasons why we have P-Gurus. You'll have diametrically opposite views come and give views at different times, and it's up to you to understand where the reality is. So thank you so much, General Rajiv. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We want a good general to be back. I have 2 or 3 topics in my mind, sir. I'll start pinging you again. I know I've been chasing you for a while, but thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Most welcome. Thank you so much. Jai Bharat.